What is going on, people? Welcome back. Today, I'll be reacting to another episode of Appa and Preach. I don't know why I call them episodes. They're just videos. This one is called Men Are Giving Up on College Good. This is interesting to me because over the past couple of years, there have been a lot of conversations around what use does college have? Is it necessary? Should I go? Should I not? Oh my God, I don't want to acquire loans. Oh my God, I want to be successful and make money.
Today's topic.
Let's put this up there on the screen. This is a new Wall Street Journal investigation. Quote, men are abandoning higher education in such numbers, they now trail female college students by record levels. So get this, in 2020, the college gender gap has surged. 59% of college students are women, 40.5% of college students are men. And if you look even further, Marshall, it is predominantly young white men, regardless of class status, both poor and those, but when you compare poor and working class white men to those of young Black, Latino, and Asian men from the same economic backgrounds, they are the ones who are kind of leading the way in dropping out. So look, there's always kind of been a little bit of an imbalance within college, but 60-40, all within a year, and a dramatic increase in that, especially whenever it comes to socioeconomic status, is absolutely crazy. It's going to change higher education for a long time. So what's going on here?
Well, it's not just going to change higher education, it's going to change our country.
Yeah. Right.
Because the key fact in this Wall Street Journal report, it's probably paywalled, but I really recommend people try to find it as much as they can, because once again, this is actually, I don't want to overstate this, a game changer as we look to how the next couple of decades are going to play out. There's been a huge actual decline in the number of individuals enrolled in college over the past decade, and 71% of that decline is driven by young men. Like that is the key fact.
People are saying they don't want to do it and they're making that conscious choice. Great.
However, there are trade-offs, right? Because we also know that the wages that women make are also growing and the wages that men make are shrinking. And if we couple that with what we know about higher education in terms of its ability to, or at least its correlation with college completion and wages, we know that the likelihood of you making more money is linked to whether or not you went to college. So yes, good if these young men are finding alternative means to make more money. Bad if they are not doing that. You know, because it's one thing to rule something out and say, I know that college is not for me. However, if you don't have an alternative pathway in life, if you don't have another way of getting the right credentials, getting the right training to generate a lifestyle that is comfortable, then it's not so good. So college is a complex thing, and there are pros and cons to it. The pros are it gives you the ability to network with people and, you know, attract recruiters from various jobs and industries. It gives you the time to actually figure out who you are, what you're passionate about, and what you want to do once you're done. Or at least these are the things that college can bring out of you. The cons, you know, cons, you walk away with student loan debt, which is a pretty big con depending on how much loans you accumulate. Another con is that you don't necessarily take advantage of the opportunities you have while you're in college. Personally, I didn't take advantage of all the resources that were at my availability when I was in college. So there's that. The third con associated with college is, what if you graduate and you realize, I majored in this subject and spent 2 years studying, I don't know, biology, but what I want to do has nothing to do with biology. Then that's like 2 years that I wouldn't say wasted, but 2 years that you could have been using to prepare for something that you actually want to do. Even though we all have those moments in life where it's like process of elimination. Before we actually find what we want to do in life, we usually have to like rule out other options and try things and say, oh, this is what so college gives you the opportunity to try new things. Other cons, student loan debt, I would say, is the biggest con, especially depending on which college you go to. If you go to a private school, if you choose not to go to community college, you go straight to a 4-year and do 4 years there, like, you can walk away with a lot of student loan debt. If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a professor, which, you gotta go to college to do those things, you're gonna walk away with a lot of student loan debt, and you never know where the job market is gonna be in those professions. So you might be taking a big gamble. I know I've been going on and on, but let Abba and Preach give their...
Listen, university is not tenable for most folks. Having to take out $100,000 in through student loans, or even 50, 60 grand with interest and all that stuff. It's untenable, considering also the fact that the return on investment isn't very high for a lot of these degrees.
It's crazy, isn't it?
So
for most of them, yeah.
Knowing that young men are saying, listen, I'm not going to fuck up my whole life, take on all this debt, and shackle myself to a degree that, one, I probably don't even know if I want to do, because who the fuck knows what they want to do when they're 18, bro. At 18, I don't even know where I want to stick my dick in.
But that's a big indictment, not of college, but of student loan providers and the system that we have, because I do think college can be and is in many cases a magical place where people can exercise their curiosity and independence in ways that you don't necessarily get a chance to do if you just don't go to college, because at that point you transition straight into like a profession. You don't have that like bridge to like grow up. College is a nice intermediary where you're still being guided in some way if you take advantage of and seek the guidance, but you're also like kind of an adult. So I agree with Abba.
You want to tell me to tell you where I could choose my future? Bruv, are you mad? That's crazy.
You're moving mad.
That's crazy.
You're moving mad.
And you're telling me I have to make a choice and take on debt? Bruv, this is a lose-lose, and it's going to be a lose-lose in 20 years.
That's why I always recommend community college. Like, don't go straight into a 4-year. If your parents can afford it, or you get this like great scholarship that gives you a full ride, then of course, like, do it. However, most of us don't have that. So my biggest advice is always go to community college. If you're interested in college, go to community college. You'll get like 50% of the experience, and then transfer from community college to a university. And then, figure out what you're going to do. And if you don't like the university experience after a year, okay, you accumulated some student loan debt, but it wasn't 3 years worth.
So it's just L's all day. Then I get to school, I'm stressed out, don't enjoy it, and the next 4 years of my life are just absolute trash if I didn't pick correctly. Nigga. And I gotta suffer with that decision forever? There are people literally running away from this country because they don't want to pay their student loans. So what? Am I gonna be going crazy? Of course young men are quitting this thing. This college system is untenable.
Yeah, but I wouldn't preach. Y'all, I think their stance is very strong. That's why I'm trying to bring nuance to the situation.
It makes no sense.
It's untenable for everybody.
No sense.
And the fact that we pressure young folks into making this decision and telling them this is a way forward, it's not like these are lazy people who want to stay home and smoke weed all day. All right? Me, I know this. I know young dudes want responsibility. They want to work.
I think many of us do, but I also know that since we are not presented with alternatives to going to college, sometimes we end up regressing into potheads that don't want to do any work because we've convinced ourselves that since we didn't go to college and we don't have an alternative, we're complete fuck ups, when that's not the case. It's up to the adults to set that infrastructure for kids as they grow into adulthood to have like a clear path to their passions, to careers. That's why if you want to go and be a coder, or if you want to go do computer programming or something like that, you ain't got to go to a 4-year college. Go to a trade school, Go to a community college, get your little 2-year degree, and make bank.
So they go out and they join the labor force, and they'll do manual labor. You tell them to go on a construction
Yeah,
field.
but the thing is, the jobs, bro. It's not like the 1960s, man, where those factory jobs were in high quantities and high access. So that's why I think telling students not to go to college or encouraging them away from it without providing realistic alternatives, that's also not the best.
vast majority of them all join the next day.
And they feel proud.
And they feel good because they know that the labor and the work that they put in comes back to them. When you go to university, it's a bit more ephemeral. It's a little bit harder to grab. It's like sand in your hand. It keeps slipping out.
No, I don't believe
it's not a great feeling.
It is a gamble, just like anything in life.
Not when you're looking for stability.
Oh, you want to work, sir? Well, okay, you'll work. Give me 50 grand first. What?
Nah. It's not. So I understand the frustration that they feel. And if they're making this conscious choice to say, listen, I'm lost, but I'm not going to make this reckless choice that history has shown is probably not going to be to my benefit, good for these men.
Man.
And I hope
Yeah, but I don't want y'all are not being nuanced enough about it, man, because it's not just like that. It's not just like good. Because, bro, if you decide you don't want to go to college, you got to have something else lined up for yourself. It can't just be like, I don't want to make this reckless decision. One, there are ways of minimizing the risks, even though there are risks involved, just like not going to college and not having a game plan is also a risk, because you're going to be in your mom's house. You're going to be in you know what I'm saying? So I hope they provide nuance.
minorities follow suit as well. If you're not choosing a great field, all right, I do not recommend that you shackle yourself with debt. I don't recommend it. Take a couple extra years before you make that choice.
Not everybody has that luxury, though. What they're gonna do? They're gonna with a high school degree. If they don't know what they're gonna do, they're gonna go work at Chick-fil-A. They're gonna go work at Bath and Body Works. That's 2 years of living in poverty, with the hope that you'll have this grand epiphany. You got to be productive. You got to figure something. That's what I'm saying. Community college, I think, is the best intermediary right now until we as a society come up with alternatives to deal with and handle kids who don't have that sense of direction in terms of where they want to go, but they know they don't want to jump straight into a 4-year. That's why community colleges offer these tech programs and all this stuff.
Because we're too often, I know this from an immigrant standpoint, parents
speak on it.
Put that pressure.
Speak on it.
They put that pressure, and I've seen it.
So now I see where a little bit of the bias is coming from. Not saying that what he's saying is invalid, but everybody has a bias, right? Like I have a bias, he has a bias. We all have bias.
A lot of these kids. It fucked up a lot of their lives. Kids that were supposed to be doctors and had mental breakdowns and just gave up on everything.
So, yo, you should have seen my parents when my sister went from health science to teaching.
But again, that's not the fault of colleges. That's the fault of parents and them not knowing what the fuck they're doing when it comes to directing their kids.
The thing, there's what your parents want you to be and who you are. Yep. And these things are constantly pulling at you from both extremes. Yep. And so I think from people from minority backgrounds, they're living through that existence. And if you're fortunate, if you're one of the lucky ones, who you are happens to be pretty decently close to what your parents want you to do. So you might luck out. But most people don't have that experience.
And also, you don't have to go to college for your parents, too. It's not like one or the other. Either you go to college because your parents want, or you don't go to college at all and you make your parents. Either way, you got to do what's best for you. So if you want to go to college and you want to major in something that you want to major in, either way, you're going to piss your parents off. Whether you decide to change your major to something you're passionate about. So if they say study engineering, no, I want to study philosophy. They're going to be pissed. If you decide not to go to college at all, they're going to be pissed.
So I think the reason why this trend is so different between minority backgrounds and white folks is I think just the messaging is very, very, very different in that regards, and that pressure you get is different. It comes from a different place.
And more so.
And also white folks have a greater safety net as well. So we have to be honest about that socioeconomically.
only way that at some point that minorities could advance. That's when they could.
Because you got to bring your mama out the hood. You got to bring your dad out. You got to pull everybody out, right? Or if you're an immigrant, well, we came to this country to give you a good life. So if you're not going to do it,
you're not going to live your dreams.
Right.
So you're forever indebted to them.
So if young men are saying, "No, I'm not going to jump into this," good for you guys. Listen, you're talking to a high school dropout, which I don't recommend. But what I'm trying to say is, education wasn't for me, and I could see the writing on the wall.
That's not true, because he's a philosopher by heart. So education is for him. Formal education, higher education was not. And I think that's where it's important to draw the distinction. And I know people will downvote me and get angry at this video because I'm challenging the points of, your idols, but I don't know what you want me to do. I don't look at celebrities and people, YouTube personalities, like they're way above me and that their arguments are like bulletproof. I don't see that. I see two like decent dudes. I'm obviously a fan of their work, but I disagree.
I went to orientation day for university to go see what it was like. So I sat down on a criminology
or at least I had
disagreements.
Fell asleep.
And I said, nigga, I'm not paying to sleep at school. I could nap for free in my bed. Save some money and make my own choices. Because guess what? If there's one thing my mom taught me other than go to school, love your money. It just so happens that's the only lesson that I listen to. Shout out to mom. Okay? I like my money. That's why I always had a bit in the savings. Why? Because I didn't like having zero. All right? I would rather starve and wear the same clothes all day than have no money in my bank account. Okay?
Hey, shout outs to you, Mamba.
I never had debt. That's one of the best lessons my mom taught me. You can't pay for it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Abba, but there's also good debt and there's bad debt, right? So when we talk about the people who do take out loans to go to college, and college does lead to brighter prospects, broader networks, and epiphanies for them, like it works.
You don't play with it, okay? If you can't afford to play, boy, don't play.
If you can't afford to play, stay away.
Hey, that's right. Okay. That was real.
I get what they're saying, but they're also speaking from they're in the top 1%, and I want y'all to understand that. Like, not everybody could drop out of college and be famous YouTubers, a million subscribers. I would love to talk with them about this, but my platform isn't big enough yet. I would love to like.
Listen. That is one lesson. My mom, she worked a lot, so she couldn't be present too often. But that lesson stuck with me my whole life, and I never had no issue with credit as a result. Yeah, in terms of finances, I understand it for folks, and I think here's the interesting thing.
Go in.
So we're speaking out of social place. I think this is going to change the way work is going to work. Right? The way the whole employment landscape is going to look, completely going to change. Because all these men who are gaining experience but yet don't have the necessary paperwork for degrees, employers are going to have to start looking differently at who they're going to hire, right? Because they need competence over paperwork.
And
right?
So go ahead.
But it depends what kind of experience they're getting, right? Because not everybody can also teach themselves. So that's why we gotta talk about trade schools. We gotta talk about forms of education. Even though it is true that there are certain things that you could Google and you could learn how to do. You could. Not everybody can do that.
So employers are going to have to look at things very differently, right? So it's going to change the work landscape for one. Two, it's going to completely change the dating landscape.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies,
you're going to have to start paying for them bills.
You want somebody at your education level?
You're going to have to go get it.
You want somebody who's making maybe comparable income?
Going back to what Abba said before about employers are going to have to... This is what a lot of employers are doing right now, depending on the profession, right? Not even a bachelor's is good enough. Now they're requiring master's degrees, graduate degrees to do entry-level jobs. So the idea that they're going to go from, we need a PhD from you if you want to do this, or we need a master's. They went, first it was associates, we need you to have an associates. Okay, too many people got associates. Bachelor's, too many people got masters, too many people. So the idea that the tides are going to turn and they're going to start, I do think that is a bit pie in the sky. I don't know what research supports that.
Turn a lesbian.
You know what I mean? He might not make as much as you, but best belief he's going to have less debt than you.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think it all depends. It all depends because not everybody takes out 50 G's in debt, Abba. I just wish I could talk with him right now, man. I wish we could just have a conversation.
So it's not going to be just how much you make. It's like, Mitch, you got student debt. Let's talk, okay? It's about to be a different conversation.
Hey.
Hypergamy, if you still play into that, you going to die alone.
That shit's going to...
Guaranteed.
Wow, that shit's going to change.
It's going to change a
It's
lot.
really going to change.
I do
Right?
think there's something to be said about that. Women who keep setting their sights high in terms of what they expect from a man financially, yeah, a lot of women are going to die alone because of that. Because it is getting to a point where women are starting to earn equal to a man and perhaps might supersede a man's wages. But we have to ask, why is that? What do women have that men don't? Or that men are having less of? The college degrees, the formal training and education. So I think there are lots of flaws in Abba and Preach's stance on this
That's going to
subject.
change.
The way people looking at things.
Yeah.
So I got a lawyer's degree. I'm doing this. Cool. How's the student land? Well, I'm 150 down. Okay. Was nice talking to you.
Yeah. Only a
That
few
is
of you
abnormal.
ladies are going to get in the mine.
Crazy.
Okay? Only a few of you ladies going to get in the gold mine. The rest of y'all going to be waiting outside, just thirsting for gold. So not going to be that many people admitted. Why? Because the mine, it's starting to run dry.
God damn.
It's going to be
I don't think it's good for Abba and Preach. Hopefully they introduce nuance because it is. I don't think it's responsible to be putting out this message. I'll be honest.
different landscapes. I'm very looking forward to seeing what is going to happen
Like
going
such
forward.
a
I hope for a
rigid
lot of these
message.
folks, they find some measure of comfort in the employment sector and doing work and finding like Joyce and just like labor. You know?
How long do you think the switch going to happen? 5 years?
Oh no, I think this is permanent.
Oh, no. The switch. No, right now, this. Like, people are going to look, the way people are going to look at dating and everything and stuff. When is it starting?
Oh, it's already been starting.
Yeah,
It's already
okay.
been starting because these trends have already showcased themselves.
supports
Remember
that?
that video we did earlier about like ladies
down?
dating down?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's only gonna
That's
gonna
just gonna be
happen.
more.
That's true. That trend is true. But I'm still thinking about the other ones. Like, how do women dating down and men making less money than they did in the past and women making more money? How does that put men in a better predicament other than, women adjusting their expectations and standards
Yeah, more and more.
And so
and
this
us having less debt as a result of us not going to college? Because having less debt is not the same as having money.
whole idea of like traditionally the man makes more and all this other stuff, that may not necessarily be true in some time. So what do you think about what you just heard?
I could try to analyze it. I mean, and it's white people white men that are not going to the school, right?
Men in general, but white men are driving it.
We spent the last couple of years saying that white men were the problem. White men were leading the world. White men were winning. This new generation doesn't want to be that. There's that. There's the fact that everything changed. There's technology has changed everywhere. Cars, phones, computers. A classroom has been the same since Charlemagne, the guy that invented made that mandatory. It never really appealed to boys. We just winging because that's the thing that we had to do. Them dropping out, I can understand. I just don't know why it didn't happen sooner. I mean, I had to complete school. If I take my experience, I had to
Well, it
complete
did happen sooner, and it happened when we were incentivized to do like hard labor that no longer exists in factories. So all I'm advocating for is like alternative pathways to college.
I said to myself, at least let me just finish this high school, because I'm already dumb enough and I'm already not supposed to be here, because every teacher that I'm having are telling me that I'm not supposed to be here and I'm never going to accomplish anything in life.
See, and that's at the core of a lot of people's unwillingness and hatred towards high school or towards education, because they think they're going to get more of that in college, so they already going with the mindset that, man, I'm not even good at school, and it's like, you know, that is really unfortunate, and I empathize.
So let me just at least finish that. I'm already stupid as fuck, right? Let me prove them that I can finish this shit. So I did, but it took me a lot. And after that, I went to college because that was the thing to do. And I remember my parents, I had this discussion with my parents, and my parents was like, I want to see your report card because I'm paying, so you see me, I know. They said, I'm paying, I decide. And when I went to college, I said, word, I got myself a job, and I paid my tuition. And at some point, my dad came to me and said, like, oh, let me see your report card. And I was like, no, B, you remember how it works? I pay. I keep my report card.
So it's rooted in a lot of trauma, I feel. Their stance. They got some good points, but it's just sad to hear like the shit that they went through.
But I really just stayed 2 semesters there because I said I'm paying, so I can make the choice. And this was really not for me, and I left. And I tried to go back twice. Like after that, I tried to go to university. Every time I try to go back to school, it's funny. It's always something that pulled me out. And I've always been able to find more outside than in school. In a society that I understood, a society that we live in, every time you got a paper, they would ask you for experience. So it was actually just better to go out there and have experience. So I never went back because you need experience. You're gonna come out with a paper, with a diploma, and they're still gonna ask you for like 5 years experience. So I might as well just start from the bottom in this company, learn the nooks and crannies of everything, and go up rather than go to school. And then I could use that. And it's been working like that. So I can understand at some point that if I just base it on my experience, that people would not try to go to school. It's not granted that you're gonna have this big ass diploma, and then after that, a lot of people that I know are not working in the field that they. And I'm not talking about doctors. I'm not talking about people that are pharmacists and stuff like that. But other fields, there's a lot of fields that they're not working in the fields that they studied. So I don't know. I don't know if it's their big brothers talking to them. I don't know if it's their experience or anything like that. But if I take it from my experience, I'm like, ugh, I don't know, man.
Anyways, I think this is super interesting. I think this is a very, very telling trend. It's something I've noticed, and this is already well documented, but just seeing how exponentially faster it's happening to all the young men watching. I'm not telling y'all not to go to school. I'm just saying make the decision responsibly. Don't do it because the world tells you. Do it because that's what you want. And if you don't want to, it's okay to just live in uncertainty. It's okay to not just take a random action because you don't know what to do with your life, okay? All right? We don't need another 10,000 people transferring to psychology because they like brains and they find out that the major that they initially chose is fucking dog shit. All right? Take your time.
I like brains, but for different reasons.
Yeah, I think that's wholesome advice that he gave towards the end. And if y'all enjoyed this reaction video or took something away from it, please comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.